Aquanaut Hunger Force, #1 in the hood, G, on Amigos, everything Amiga. Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron, we're back.
We're back and better than ever in the studio.
Yeah.
The studio.
It's a little wet out there tonight.
Listen, you know what I see when I see this grand expanse of floor right there?
I don't.
That's a place for a Subbuteo table.
Is that what that is?
That's right.
Oh man.
We're going to fire it up.
I can't believe you haven't bought one of those yet after last week's show.
I bought one and returned it already.
You bought, did it come in?
It didn't come in before it shipped because I don't have a table. You got to have a huge table. I don't know how involved you are in the Simpatico community online.
Listen, I watched a lot. I'll believe it or not, even after the show this week.
It sucks you in.
I was trying to explain what Subbuteo is to my buddy at work, and it's hard to explain. So I found a match for these two guys at like their house or whatever, and these guys are going like flick, 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 and they're flicking guys left and right, moving back and forth. And I was just like, "Do you see? Do you get it?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "What are the rules?" I'm like, "There's rules? I don't know. You flip guys." You know, and this one guy was scoring from like half across the thing.
I don't know that they were playing the regulation rules.
And then I watched the tournament. I was such a loser. I was in bed. I was like, what can I go to sleep?
Listen, there's only one step below that, and that's the step that I am, where I watch one guy play himself.
Yeah, that is. I also see my buddy pub games too.
Oh, yeah.
He's never seen that.
That's the best.
My buddy has a lodge, a military lodge, you know, and he's putting in. In fact, their launch party is like next week. For all these gambling machines, they legalize it. And I'm like, here's what you should put in your lodge. You got to have a dartboard. You got to have this and that. And we were talking about the different things you could do. I'm like, look, I've got an idea for some place we can get some ideas. Pub games.
Yeah.
So we're watching these old women drink and throw darts and play those weird games at the table.
The mushroom pool and all that.
What are the rules of that game? I'm begging to know.
Who knows? There's one guy that knows, and he's the referee.
And the thing is, they only take time to stop playing that weird game. You get a huge mug, load it up, and I love the announcers looks like Johnson's refueling with beer, and he's like gurgle, gurgle, and then they just back and forth, and forth. And there's two women standing up there, but they don't look like they're paying attention. Are they keeping score?
No,
What's going
they're just
on?
the eye candy.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Man.
And man, Indoor League, when that was what we fired up, it was me, Mitsuyama, Pajako, and Graham asleep on the other side.
Listen,
and we were all watching Indoor League. It was fantastic
like me and you both, if we have any true calling, it was to have been in the 1960s and 70s pub scene in the UK.
Absolutely.
We got screwed. Jockey Wilson, Snooker, the whole thing, and then Subbuteo, everything. We could have been involved.
Yeah.
What did we do? We got nothing.
We got nothing. We got screwed. Aaron, let's talk about Aquanaut.
Oh, boat. It's not any knot. It's the Aquanaut, man.
You know, when you were a kid, you were just like me. You wanted to be a spaceman.
I was exactly like you. Yeah, actually, that's true.
Well, that's why I said it.
That's 100% accurate, yeah.
Did you ever think, well, if I can't be a spaceman, maybe I'll be a waterman?
What does that mean?
Does the undersea exploration angle work for you, like the space exploration angle?
No, that doesn't work for me. And, you know, I used to watch, you know, when you're in the 70s, that was the heyday of like Jacques Cousteau.
Right, yeah.
That was a big deal, right? And he was going deep in and whatnot. And it was fascinating, but space is when you think of space, it's just sort of this empty area, and you look out and you see cool stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, you're just like an empty void.
Right.
If I go like this, like I'm hitting nothing, and nothing's happening.
Right.
If you're in the water, you're hitting water, and there's crap floating in the water. There's fish crap. There's weird crud, you know, assorted garbage in the water. Like,
True.
That's not doing it for me. No one thinks that, you know, when you think of like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or whatever, you think, man, a sleek, cool looking ship floating through the water, but you don't think about them floating through fish crap and garbage and all this horrible sewage. It's like I'm not into that.
Okay.
Man.
What about when you saw The Abyss? Did that change your mind?
I never saw The Abyss.
Oh.
It's not. It looked okay.
They go real deep in The Abyss.
I've heard that. Well, in this game, you go double deep, brother, because these levels are Abyss-like in their length. This game, if you looked up this game to play this week, and I know many people have submitted reviews, you could look up Aquanaut, and you'd get the wrong game, because it was a game that came out in '89, a commercial
released, yeah.
And I thought to myself, that's pretty confusing, but it's not the most confusing thing about Aquanaut. Aquanaut is actually based on a game called Shark.
Really?
There was
This Aquanaut.
This Aquanaut.
Okay.
The author of this game is a fellow named Phil Rustin. All right. Phil Rustin, he didn't do a ton of stuff on the Amiga. Well, he did a few things. By the way, his stuff's wacky. We'll get to it. But he did more stuff on the C64, including Havoc, LA Police Department, Operation Hanoi, Outlaw, Task Force, and Shark. And Shark was this game that, by the way, these games came out far before the Amiga version of Aquanaut came out. They came out years and years ago, like in the early 80s. And so what happened was he said, you know what? I'm going to do a version of this for the Amiga, and then he left it on the shelf for like many years. I got on his... he had a blog that if you dig around and get back to the old versions of it, you could find it. And so the game he made called Shark was converted to the C64 from the Spectrum. I think the C64 version is the most famous. I think it's got an Amstrad version too. When he made this version for the Amiga, his plan was to make this a commercial game.
Oh yeah,
right? And you think to yourself, that makes sense. And then he was like, "Well, oops, sorry, I sat around for 6 years and didn't finish it."
So this game was in its earliest stages from all the way back in 1989.
Yeah, it's been around. The premise of it has been around for a while because of Shark, and then when he ported it up, he just didn't work on it for a while. Yeah. So it's funny. I looked into Phil a little bit. He's an interesting guy. He's done some interesting projects. I looked at some of the different stuff he's got. One of these days, I'm sure we'll probably come across some of his other stuff. Get this. Here's some stuff he did on the Amiga. He did Operation Firestorm, pretty cool name. Violator. And then Wibble World Giddy, Wibble Mania.
Man,
and
that's an ARG game if I've ever heard one.
Well, get this. I'll explain this. And he also did Giddy, too. And apparently there's another Giddy.
Did he do Giddy Lee?
Well, these are rip-off. These are basically making fun of the twins and their egg.
Gleep and Gloop?
Yeah, no. I mean the twins and their glorious egg.
Oh, the Oliver twins.
The Oliver twins. I was like, wonder if you're going to jump in there. Yeah,
I didn't realize you were talking about people.
When I say the twins and we're on this show, that's the only one set. That's it. That's the only ones. And by the way, Gleep and Gloop weren't twins. But, so I haven't played Wibble Wobble, but that might be kind of fun to play if it's making fun of the egg. So
who were the twins?
What do you mean?
Gleep and Gloop were
Zan and Jaina.
Yeah, but Gleep and Gloop were on that show.
They were the Power Twins. No, Gleep and Gloop were on. They were on the
Thundar, right?
No, not Thundar either. That's it's the other Barbarian show. God, you're putting me on the spot here, Boat.
But
it's got the big stone gorilla and the dragon. Somebody help me out here. I can't remember. But anyway, that was a Hanna-Barbera offering.
Okay.
So, getting back to the game, I will say Phil Rustin did everything on this game except for the audio. That was done by Anthony N. Pootson, who worked on FIFA on the Amiga, Mortal Kombat 2, and Primal Rage AGA.
Okay.
So they got a couple good audio bits in there. Yeah. This was never commercially released. As I mentioned, it was it was called licenseware. That old shtick.
Yeah, so I'm curious about this. By the way, Herculoids, thank you.
Herculoids, thank you.
That was the Brent got that in there.
God, I'll never hear that.
So licenseware is not a name or a product I've ever heard of before. Have you heard of something being referred to as this before?
Back in the day, the PD day, right? The PD day, you had all kinds of angles. You had sampleware, and so this is, to me, it's just another one of those. It's another...
Because, like, public domain, what does that mean?
Well, so here's what you got at public domain, like, hierarchy, all right? And it gets more expensive as you got the pyramid. At the top, it's free. Free public domain. Go get it, right? Then you've got the next level of it. It's free, but we'd love for you to give us $1. Donation.
Donationware.
Then you've got free, but we're occasionally going to annoy you. Right?
Yeah.
They pester you for money.
Bugware.
Yeah, no, that's called, I can't remember. But anyway, then there's the next level down. It's like, it's not free, but you can play on most of the game, but it's not free. Then you've got, it's not free, and it's on a timer, and that's it. You finish the timer, and it shuts down, right? This game here is one of the, basically, they want you to give them money, but it's free if you don't want to pay them. Basically, so it's to the top of the pyramid.
Okay, so licenseware is essentially distributed for free, but if you should happen to pay for it, then
here's the thing. When I say that, I don't mean licenseware specifically. That's just the name.
Because I'm just wondering,
that's just the name of some crap.
They are very clear at the beginning that they do not want you playing this game and not paying for it.
Yeah.
How did you get this game if it was not?
No, you downloaded it, but then they wanted you to send them a check.
Okay, but they say, we will come after you if you don't. How are they going to come after you?
Well, they want the money. They're lying, Bo.
Okay.
Come on, gullible Bo.
Well,
what do you think they're going to send some licenseware guys over?
I didn't know if it was like
the TV detective van.
Right.
They're going to come around.
The Aquanaut
van. These guys can't afford the van or the wheels of the van. They're not going to be sending the van over. So, what is this game, Boat? Good question, because from what I can tell is your ultimate goal in this game is to rescue hostages and save the world from the wrath of aliens. Okay? That's ultimately the goal.
Okay.
Now, in this game, the whole game takes place underwater.
Right.
Okay? Aquanaut. Mm-hmm. It's not about hair, spray.
Long, beautiful hair.
And in the game, you're in this like a fighter sub. Now, here's the weird part of this game, right out of the gate. You're in the water, okay? And so one would assume that maybe there'd be floating or momentum, or there's nothing.
Are you going to talk about fish crap again?
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm talking about the way your ship moves. This game reminded me, it's like if you took it's often compared to Blood Money. Okay, we both have played that. If you take Blood Money and you have ultimate control of your craft, that's sort of what this is in terms of the control. Literally, this thing doesn't float. It doesn't have momentum. It does whatever you say all the time.
Yeah, it's got very good sort of counter propulsion rockets, I think.
And what does that mean? Well, what that does is it makes this game feel very different. Like there are a few games that have the feel, because most games the control is part of the game. Mm-hmm. You've got to hit the button to keep it up in the air, or you've got to keep hitting the joystick up or whatever. In this game, you can literally put your ship somewhere and just go get a drink. And as long as the bad guys don't come, it's not going to sink. There's no stream. There's no momentum, nothing. What did you think about that?
It made the game easier. I can tell you that. In like you said, in a lot of games, the only way you'd know that this is an underwater game is because there are bubbles programmed in to appear above your craft and above other things in the world. If it wasn't for that, you would just think you were floating in the air.
I wonder if it was always going to be underwater.
I think since it was built on Shark, probably.
You shut me up, didn't you? I mean, graphically, though, you're right. There's very little to indicate that, at least, eventually you go to areas where you see some, seaweedy looking stuff or whatever, but for the most part, it could be space, tunnels, whatever.
I found this game when I first jumped in. I was just kind of going around, and I was like, this is odd. I don't think I've ever played a game in which gravity or momentum played no part whatsoever.
Yeah, it is very strange. So your ship has multiple attacks, okay? And then we'll get into what you're shooting at. I took your advice that I read and used the gamepad.
Good move.
Gamepad lets you do two great things. Well, one, it's gamepad. Two, it lets you rotate with the other button through your multiple missile weapons. Mm-hmm. Now, you've got a basic plain Jane shooter, all right, your weapon, which you can augment and upgrade, all right? You also have a secondary weapon. And to use the secondary weapon, you hold your fire button down for a certain amount of time, and that weapon will fire whatever it is. they've got an interesting dynamic at the bottom of the screen where the weapon that you've got armed is listed. Whenever you hold that button down, you'll see 2 triangles start going like growing. And when they meet in the middle at the point, that's when the weapon goes off. So that means you know if, okay, I'm holding it too long. It doesn't take long for them to come out. You will many times accidentally fire your weapon.
I found that to be mostly eye candy and useless because
they try.
Yeah, I mean it's nice that they put that in there. What would have been nicer is if you made the timer longer. Because you will fire your weapons accidentally all the time.
All the time.
Or B, just employed maybe that second button to fire the other weapon and maybe down and the second button to switch your weapons.
Or you could tap the first button, or maybe tap the second button to switch between the weapons and hold it to fire.
Right.
I don't know what you could do.
Something
How about
like
3
that.
buttons would be another good option.
Get out the Mega Drive.
But at least they gave it a whirl.
Right.
You know? So in this game is divided into...
It's 5, right?
It's 5 huge, and I mean huge, underwater levels. And now, when I say huge boat, I mean the biggest levels. They're monstrous. And they're like mazes.
Yeah.
And you get a look at them occasionally when you come across. There are various weapons crates, or crates in general, that are scrambled around the maze. And when you blow one up and get it, sometimes you'll get the scanner activation one, and it will show you the map. And when you look at the map, you can just sit there in awe because you look at like, how am I going to get there?
This was my face when the map came up.
Yeah. This is the mother of all long levels, and we and you've complained about this for years. However, this
game makes Yo-Jo looks like Super Mario Brothers.
Right, but this game is, I'm not going to say it pulls it off, but it could have been much worse.
Yes.
If you had another character in the game.
There's lots of reasons why this could have been done worse, and but like you said, it pulls it off.
Yeah. As you go through mostly what I played was the first level. By the way, there's a cheat allegedly that I could never get to work. Did you get to see any? Did you get to go play any of the other levels?
I just watched the playthrough for it. I'll tell you right now how far I made it.
All right.
At the end of the first level. You have to go through this corridor where these guys are going like this.
Yeah.
And then once you get through that, you get to the boss.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew I was at the
giant
end.
Crab.
I knew I was at the end because I had a map on my phone and I was looking at my phone and playing.
Oh yeah, I saw the map.
So maybe I cheated. I don't know.
That's okay.
But I could not make it through those things without dying, and I left. And it took me so long to get there. There's no checkpoints in this game.
Yeah, what you need to do is hit the old. What would you put? The Mister.
Yeah.
Hey, you're boned on there.
Yeah.
We need to get some save states for the Mister.
Yeah, we do.
I played this on Amiga forever specifically because of save states.
Good move. Good move.
So, Boat mentioned it at the end of these levels, and the levels you don't just go through the level. For example. I sat forever on the first level. I couldn't figure out where to go. Well, one thing you'll learn quickly is you need to be very spendthrift with your secondary weapons because there are often obstacles that you can't go through unless you can blow them away with that secondary weapon, barrels, mines.
That is the game. The game is not really. None of the enemies are particularly devious. They all work
they're
on.
Cheap.
They're cheap and they come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
But they all all of the mounted weapons fire on set patterns, and there's a lot of those. Enemies, there's very limited respawning also.
It is weird how things respawn. Mm-hmm. So let's say you clear a section of the map. The section of the map you clear could include guns, things that shoot at you that aren't guns. Creature like enemy subs and enemy fish that are swimming around.
There's plant-like beings.
And then missiles, right? You can blow all this stuff away, and when you go back to that area, you'll go through it 3 or 4 times with no problem. But on a rare occasion, for some reason, a missile will be back.
Right.
Or an enemy sub will be there.
And this game, part of my biggest complaint about this game, and I guess they sort of programmed it this way because there's no momentum of gravity, but like sometimes I'd be like, man, I just need to take a look at this map for a second.
Yeah.
And the minute you stay still, that's where the random fish or the random sub will come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it won't just like shoot at you and drive away. It will repeatedly ram its body into you over and over until you die.
We should probably talk about that. So in this game, you have a health meter. And you get what I would consider a fairly substantial amount of health.
Health is very fair.
health in this game isn't like, say, Contra or something, where you get hit, knocked back.
Contra is one hit kill, so we shouldn't say that.
Okay, if you roll your ship into a mine, okay, you don't go, ow! It goes, and you just see your health go, and you're gone.
That's the
It's
end.
one of those gimmicks.
That's right.
And so when one of the bad guys just rolls over you, you're done.
Yeah.
It's not a drive-by, it's a drive-through.
Right. So the thing about this game is this is a puzzle. Really, I consider this to be a puzzle game with action elements. Because the real challenge of this game is finding the ammo crates. They're actually barrels to replenish your special ammunition.
Yeah.
And then 2, figuring out the best special ammunition you can use to blast your way through the various types of barricades that keep you from progressing through the levels.
Yeah. That first part's key, because I didn't know I could blow up anything, and so I was stuck on the first level. I was baffled. I mean, again, this is much like when I was playing Bamboozle. I was just like, man, I can't get off the first level. I suck. I had to watch him play through. I saw the guy shoot a bunch of barrels. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And then you're in a different area. You're right. And there are generators you have to go through and blow away.
Yeah, so I think there's 4 generators you have to destroy before there's sort of like an electric fence that becomes not functional. Then you can drive through it.
This game does have different levels that have a different look with different bad guys. The first one is the defense complex. The end boss is a big metal crab. Then you've got what's called the flooded mine. At the end of that one, you fight a giant seahorse that's like a dragon, sort of. Then you've got the core. At the end of that one, you fight this like big metal ship that shoots torpedoes. Fourth one is called undersea caverns. This one's pretty cool. You fight this like robotic eyeball that's on one side of the screen, and on the top and the bottom of the screen are these 2 guys that slide around shooting. It's kind of cool. And then when you blow the eyeball away, a metal dragon worm comes out. You got to kill him.
Listen, I like that a lot.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
That would be your favorite. Yeah. And then the last one, you fight an alien and her, and I mean the old Giger special.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get the Gigered up.
That's right.
And then you've got the alien. She throws babies at you.
As they're
known to do. These 5 levels, you're going to think to yourself, 5 levels, that seems pretty short. No. It'll take you forever to get through them. And if you get all the way through them, I would be very impressed. The size of this game's impressive. The graphical, listen, we're talking about a PD game here. By the way, I meant to lead the show with this. I forgot. I used to dread these PD weeks. I mean, we used to hate them because the PD games we played were like, oh man.
Right.
But something happened over the years, and it's quickly become one of my favorite weeks on Amiga.
A lot of times these games are really good.
And this is just another example of a game that if you told me like, AmigaWare, and this week you're playing Aquanaut, released by like, I don't know, Core Design or whatever, I'd be like, all right, yeah. And I would have not said a word about it.
This could have been a Psygnosis game, and there are no changes, except maybe they would have made it harder.
They would have made it desperately needs in-game music.
Oh yes, that's by far the worst.
That's the worst thing this game does. It's not. I mean, it's got backgrounds. It's got parallax. The graphics are good. It's not as random and goofy. Like, this is way better than Blood Money for me.
Oh yeah.
But Blood Money's got the awesome opening. Don't get me wrong. But I'm talking about like the stuff that attacks you in this it seems a little less.
It's more benign,
abstract, and more like something trying to prevent you from doing things. The game is cheap, as we mentioned. Like, stuff will shoot you off screen. I hate that. Your secondary weapons are interesting. You've got a couple that basically drop little like bomblets. There's one that bounces little like shots around. Then there's missiles, stuff like that. Then you can also augment your main gun to make it a better gun. But the levels, like I said, they're mostly different looking. I can't hold them. It runs on a real Amiga with 1 meg of RAM, so it doesn't have it's not ludicrous what you're asking for, and it's unlike, say, something like a Blood Money or I'm trying like other games like this. This is a thinking man's exploration slow game. This is a game, hey, everybody in Europe, they love to explore, right? This is your game, right here.
And another thing that we didn't mention that is great, no time limit.
No time limit. So and by the way, if they'd put a time limit in this, I would have shot myself.
Yeah.
Because
also,
you never would have made it.
I really like each one of the different missiles has it's very unique. And it's fun seeing, experimenting what does what.
Right.
I found that if you fully explore the level, you end up with more than enough of whatever you need. It's only when you're trying to speed run it and try and get through it, you really have to be more careful about the number of the kind of ammo that you use. But this is a good game. The biggest problem is that there's no in-game music.
Yeah. Well, is this a game that's fun?
I think it is.
Fun. I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, the way they've got the movement set up, you sort of had to make the levels long.
Yeah.
All right, so normally me and Bo would be dropping the big elbow on that, but in this kind of game, the game is the exploration.
Right.
The game is making sure you've got weapons in the right spot. The game is figuring out where you can go. If you're easily frustrated by these sorts of games like me, thank God for the internet so you can get a little help.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some.
And if it hadn't been for the internet, no. The biggest problem with this game is they give you these map points. Here's what they should have done. You get to the map point, it says you found the map. Then from then on out, you press the M key and the map comes up.
Yeah.
If they would have done that, this game I would have given this game top marks.
Listen, we're really going off, but an on-screen map would not.
Well, the problem is where are you going to put it?
Right.
They built the map in.
Yeah.
They did all the hard work. They should have once you find it, you should be able to access it from any point.
And the thing is, this looks like a shoot 'em up, but like you said, it's more akin to a puzzle.
It's a puzzle exploration game, yeah.
But it's different.
Yeah,
and for
it's different.
PD game, I thought it was gangbusters.
Absolutely.
I looked at some reviews on this thing, Bo. There weren't a ton out there.
Did you say this guy went on to do anything else? The programmer?
I think he just pretty much stopped programming. Okay. I don't have anything aside from the C64, and he may have done that, but I don't have it on here.
Okay.
Lemon gave this a 7.26, not bad for a game like this. This had 2 reviews that I found. Amiga Power gave this 4 out of 5 vote, and
this scored very highly in the magazines.
The one gave us a 93. Which
now
I think that's your lead.
You got to remember this is 95, and they're like, please buy Amiga games so we can continue publishing our magazine.
Yeah, you're not wholly wrong there. Did we get any Discord action on this?
We did. We got one review this week from stalwart reviewer Pajako6502. He says, "Crumbs, it's Friday again. I've not played anywhere near as much of this as I would have liked to. This game has top-notch graphics and audio. The intro tune is pretty banging, and it's a shame we can't have this in the game. Having seen some of the games that were commercially released back in the day, I'm amazed this wasn't among them. Yes, it lived in that strange world between public domain and commercial games, but we couldn't get this in the shops, which is a shame because we should have. This seems to draw from the likes of Cybernoid and does it very well. But unless I'm missing something, I got trapped a couple of times having run out of special weapons, no way to clear certain obstacles from my path, and no way of killing myself. I had to backtrack to find some way of buying the farm to refresh my special weapons and then go all the way back to where I was again. And for me, this was a bit of a buzzkill in what is otherwise a fantastic and fun exploration and blowing stuff up game. But check this one out, it's great, and just keep those special weapons for when you really need them. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say that's in line with the way I looked at it. Hey, you got to give the people at the Game Selection Committee credit. They've dug out. I saw what Pixel said. I like all the PD games. Hey, what can I tell you? If they're a good game, I'm down. And by the way, I've never been a big PD guy. But hey, we played some. We've got lucky early on, and most of the time, they come with some good stuff for us. And I think this one's absolutely one that everyone out there should give a whirl. That was Aquanaut.
Are you a sketchy tech? Do you have the right tools for the job? Have there been incidents? Next time, don't try to fix it yourself. Send your broken Amiga to Retro Rewind. Get a full diagnostic, a reasonable estimate, and the peace of mind knowing that your machine is in the hands of real technicians with decades of experience and cutting-edge repair equipment. Save 10% off your repair with the promo code Amigos10. Thank you to RetroRewind.ca for supporting this episode.
Amiga News.
All right, Aaron. A couple of big news stories this week. First, we got a new game to play on the Amiga. This is a game called Game.X.
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 Is there a certain X guy that's behind this game?
Well, this is a game that is sort of obscure, according to Neil over at Indie Retro News.
All right.
This was originally a Sharp X68000 game.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Japanese. This was originally released in 1990 by an outfit called Cogenumasoft.
My favorite.
Cogenumasoft. There were some comments below here. It says that this was equivalent to an indie or homebrew title in Japan. And so these were originally given away across the BBSs in Japan back in the day. There is a video here of Game X from Who Else But Cyberman. And this one looks good. You know, it is it looks sort of like an R-type, but it doesn't have the corridors, which I'm okay with. I always hate running into the sides of the cave walls.
We suck at R-type, by the way.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on the screen, and there are plenty of special weapons. So I'm looking forward to trying this one out. Looks like it is available and ready to go. There is a link to a place called Hitchhiker Softworks. And you can find not only does he have a port of Game X, but he also has a port of the early role-playing game Dragon Slayer. However, not the Dragon Slayer that was on the Coco. This is a different one.
Based on the movie?
Uncertain. It's another Sharp X68000 port.
Very good, but that game looks pretty good. You got a little bit of Alcon, like a sideways Alcon there. That was a busy-looking shooter.
Absolutely. All right, Aaron, our next story is a video that was posted on our Discord. I don't know if this is a particularly new video, but it is one that I guess is from 4 weeks ago, so it is relatively new. This is a chronological history of Amiga OS, okay?
Yeah.
Some people, not me, really get into the history of the Amiga operating system.
Who doesn't?
But, you know, this guy, I watched a little bit of this before falling quickly asleep. And he does. It's a very in-depth look at what each new operating system brought to the table. He goes all the way into the newest operating system, OS 4, and so on. So if you are interested in checking that out, check out Protech-CBN, his channel, The Chronological History of Amiga OS.
Interesting. That would be an interesting thing to learn. You know, just to learn. That's a learning.
It's a learning video, right? Speaking of a learning video, Aaron,
oh yes,
there is a little interview you did with one of the biggest names in Amiga history, Doug Sharp.
He'll love hearing
from
that.
Cinemaware. You had a sit-down, hour-long conversation with Doug about his programming history and, of course, his magnum opus, King of Chicago.
You know, I don't do interviews all that often, but as you know. But I couldn't say no to this bad boy because, I mean, it literally fell in our laps when Doug commented on one of our videos. And he's a real nice guy. I talked to him on email a lot before we actually had the interview. Really, really enjoyed this one. Doug, all I had to do was wind him up and turn him loose. He's got stories for days. He knows his stuff. You got to think, I was thinking about how long ago that he made King of Chicago, which is 85. So you're looking at almost 40 years of ago in this stuff, which is, I mean, if you think about that, man, it's brutal. It's brutal to feel that old. But I mean, just the recall. I mean, do you know what you were doing 40 years ago?
Not being born?
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Give me a break.
I was 2.
Yeah.
I was 2.
Well, I know what I was doing, but I don't remember what it was. Like Doug's got a real good recall. Doug even brought out the clay figurines from the old Mac game that he molded. I couldn't believe that. He had lots of good insight, including mentioning talking about the Commodore port of King of Chicago, dealing with Cinemaware, sort of the birth. He was the birth of Cinemaware, and so he had his choice of games. He could have done SDI. He could have done Sinbad. He could have even done Defender of the Crown. You know, they gave him the choice, and he said of the 4 he chose Gangsters. That was the one he chose. So I mean, if you think about that, it's quite remarkable. They had these games lined up. I asked him about this, how to Cinemaware's distribution plans, what they had on. I really enjoyed talking with Doug.
I was very gratified to know that he agreed with me about the ledger too.
Yeah,
So,
he did, and I
Yeah.
put the ledger over.
I know you put it over. So
He also has told me his next game involves. It's called King of Honolulu. It involves having a grappling hook that runs from the Statue of Liberty to the top of the pyramid at the Louvre. So clearly, he went back and watched our shows. He also mentioned how funny it was. He thought it was, and we talked about people dying, which it is.
it is funny.
It is
funny.
hilarious. So I really enjoyed that. So if you want to see me speak with a legendary guy, go and check this out. You know, it's. I told Bo, we do a ludicrous amount of videos over the years, but every once in a while we do one that I think sort of, I feel like that I'm doing something for the community as opposed to just screwing around.
Listen,
and that's what I thought
you
this
did
one
both,
was.
brother.
Oh, yeah. Good point, Bo. That's a valid point. But yeah, check it out. It was fun, and thanks to Doug for helping us out. By the way, Doug's got a new project. Which we also talk about in that, and all the details are in the show notes on that boat.
Awesome. Now, Aaron, our next story is about there's a chiptune showcase that goes on every year over at CRX, Commodore Retro Expo.
Yeah.
This Friday, October 13th and 14th, Bitscape 2023 will be streaming a music showcase of Commodore chiptune performances directly to your computer. This is the 4th annual event. And as you can see, there are representatives from all over the world, including West Virginia.
Awesome. Tell us about that.
There's a chiptune duo known only as Lab Rat Warfare that according to them, blend retro and modern to create the music of the future.
Ooh. Have we been in contact with these guys before?
You might be thinking of Steel Rat.
No, I know Steel Rat. I know him. But it seems like somewhere around Boat Fest, someone brought this crew to my attention at some point.
I don't know. Maybe they were at Boat Fest. There were a million people
there. This is what I was talking
there.
about with the 40-year-old memory. Like, I can't remember several months ago. So, but yeah, good for them. I'm going to be checking them out. Hey, maybe we need to add a musical component to Boat Fest next year. Get the dance hall open, Boat.
And finally, Aaron, we have, every once in a while, I like to throw caution to the wind and open the wallet and just start throwing out $100 bills into the computer.
When does that start?
Okay. Well, it happened this week when I took out the credit card and booked a trip to England.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so I decided, since I was unable to travel to England this summer as I planned to, now that the fall is upon us and ticket prices have gone down somewhat, I will be heading over to jolly old England for the first time in about 15 years.
Wow.
About 15 years since I last set foot in England. I will be in London and actually in Essex rather, working with the band over there, the Brentwood Imperial Youth Band.
Oh,
Imperial. Then I'm going to be heading up to Cambridge and seeing all of the J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis sites.
Cool.
And then it's all the way over to the Mecca, to Stroud, Aaron. Stroud.
Yeah.
Home of the cave and home of the Neil.
Oh, the Neil, yes.
Yeah. So we are going to be doing over there a special Amigos Day at the cave. This is Sunday, November 26th. You can join me, Neil, and a cast of thousands over at the cave for a day. We're going to tape a live Amigos over there. We're hoping that you will be able to stream yourself in on Big Telly.
So I'll make it in there somehow.
And we will. There will be Subbuteo. We're going to get that.
You're kidding.
No, we're going to play Subbuteo no matter what. Okay, even if we have to play it on the floor.
Yeah, because Neil's got plenty of big tables.
That's right. That's right. Of course, there'll be the usual amount of gaming and everything. And if you're feeling froggy, you can join us on Saturday. On Saturday, we're going to Burton on the Water. Okay, and in the heart of the Cotswolds, we're going to go see a model village. Scale model village outdoor. You walk around the buildings and stuff.
When you say a scale, you don't mean the village. You mean not the prisoner village.
Not that village.
Oh, too bad. Now that would be. I'd be on board for that.
There's a hedge maze we can get lost in.
The village has a hedge maze.
That's right. The village has a hedge maze, and we're going to something called the Motoring and Toy Museum. It's a combination car and toy museum.
Wow, weird.
Yeah.
Weird. This sounds good.
Yeah.
Now, you're gonna have access when you go to the cave. You're gonna be doing the arcade. You're gonna be doing the whole.
Everything is going to be open and ready for your enjoyment.
kidding.
Actually, I don't know if that's true. I don't know how Neil how
You're
it works.
now running the cave.
I don't know how it works with the arcade.
It's interesting that now, of course, you and Neil were a long time partners there on the This Week in Retro. How long were you on that show? A couple years?
Neil and I started This Week in Retro in October of 2020, and I was on it for almost all of 2021.
So a little over a year.
Yeah, we did 50 episodes.
But you've never ever met in person.
Never met in person.
Even because you've been to Ireland.
I was supposed to go to Ireland last year and meet him. but you know what happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
so.
yeah, man, what a disaster that was. Let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Right.
Because
right.
in case you don't remember, Boat, they had one glitch in our airline system and Boat was out. That was it.
Pixels at Dawn confirms it. The arcade will be open and everything will be accessible to all.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let me get this straight, Boat. You're appearing at the cave. You're the guest of honor, the King Dong, and people can come visit the cave. They get a cave, the normal cave stuff. Plus they get to experience the boat. Plus they get to experience you and Neil hosting Amigos.
Correct.
What a deal.
What a deal. What a deal. Plus it includes the purchase price, I think is £20. 20 or 25. It includes a buffet lunch. And then when we close the cave...
You're kidding.
No, I'm serious.
What kind of a buffet?
A buffet lunch.
How much is 20 pounds these days? About $22?
Yeah, it's a steal, man.
That is a good deal.
It's a steal. And then afterwards, we close the cave down, and then it's pub time, baby.
There's no way we can offer a meet and greet with the boat and a buffet in Hurricane for that price.
No,
There's
no.
a 0%
I'm way
chance.
too expensive for
Unless,
that.
I mean, even Biscuit World couldn't pull that trick. Well, that sounds good, Boat. Do you know how many tickets he's going to sell for this thing? Is there a top
I
end?
believe there is a top end, but I am not sure what the top end is. So if you want your ticket, book early and book often.
Whatever you said, actually activated Alexa.
Listen, Alexa wants in. She's trying to book a ticket right now.
Alexa, stop. There we go. So, yeah, that sounds good, Boat. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. Man, I bet you're really super excited, eh?
Absolutely. And that's going to do it for the news this week, Aaron. What's been going on the YouTube channel?
Well, you know, I'm going to mention one more bit of, I think, intriguing news.
Yes, please
But
do.
when did we start our YouTube channel?
2015.
2015. So we've been at it for going on our 9th year.
Yeah.
Is that right? We have, by hook or by crook, we have finally managed to have our first 100,000 hit video.
That's an astounding number of
It
people.
went over the top. You know, some of these suckers, some of these geeks, some of these weirdos, they get 1 million views like that.
Without even trying.
You know,
they're just laying on
like,
their couch.
I'm going to react to like some goats. Or what. I mean, I love goats.
Yeah.
But I mean, we
I
can't.
love reacting.
No one cares about our reactions. And the thing is, your reactions are the best. You know. By the way, I forgot to mention this on the Neil poster that you had. You know, I saw the patented boat This Week in Retro baloney poses.
Listen,
on there.
Those are the gifts that keep on giving.
You should have slid that one in I've got of you holding the knife. That would have been great. But anyways, we did in fact have our first 100,000 hit video.
Yes, and what is it?
It was our episode about the McDonald's game.
That's right, Global Gladiators.
Global Gladiators. And I think we might get another one before the year's out. It's possible. So we're doing okay.
Yeah.
And we appreciate everybody for hanging around with us for so long. You know, we're trying to get better. And
Absolutely.
so hopefully that's a sign of acceptance. I don't know what to say about
Yes,
it.
absolutely. So thank you all for watching. And what about the Atari ST show this past week?
The Atari ST show was quite an adventure this time around with Bomboozle. It was mine and Brent's first go-around on the ST show. It was a lot of fun, and we got to sort of dip Brent's toe in the pool of Bamboozle and the Atari ST. And now we've got Brent set up pretty well for the ST going forward. This weekend we'll be back at it with ARG Presents. We're doing good FMV games, and then we'll be kicking back in R. Sinclair after that. So I like the rotation. It's a lot of fun. And,
all right.
And so hopefully you join us every Sunday at 10 a.m. Boat.
Yes. All right, Aaron, what are we playing next? Nope, did I forget something?
No,
Okay.
you're fine. But I want to mention
Okay.
that I know what we're playing next week. I'm so happy I don't usually do a sneak peek, but I had a sneak peek. Let's find out, everybody. Because if I had to pick Boat's all-time favorite game, bam. This is our retro, or what do we call these?
Second look.
Second look episode. And I'm so happy because we're going to be playing Gods. And you have to promise me that you're going to come into this with an open mind.
Listen.
And listen. Now, I've played all these second look games and with an open mind, even if I didn't like it the first time around. And you've hated Gods for years. You've always mocked the Bitmap Brothers. But I don't think you've really sat down and tried to enjoy yourself. And you got to promise me you're going to try.
I promise you I will sit down with Gods this week with an open mind.
Every time you do a show with me, you sit down with a God, brother. Ha, ha, ha.
That's good.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's the only joke I got.
All right, guys. Thank you, as always, for listening. Patreon.com/Amigos Podcast. If you want to join our community, leave us a review for us to read on the air for Gods. We will see you next week. And until then, adios.
Amigos is made possible by contributions from listeners like you. Patreon supporters help choose the games we play, receive exclusive magnets, and get access to the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord server. Visit patreon.com/Amigos Podcast if you'd like to support the show and join our community.